The civil rights movement created a lot of progress. And yet this stubborn, what they perceive as inequality, right? The statistics of success, which show that, as an aggregate population, Black people don't have the same kind of wealth as
Yeah.
other racial groups, right? These are some of the objective markers that they're pointing to, which they claim are being caused by systemic racism. And I disagree with that narrative. But part of the way we can be sympathetic to it and understand it from a cultural dimension, as Orlando Patterson attempts to do, is to recognize that we talk about these worldviews, right? Traditional, modern, and progressive. There's a worldview, a stubbornly persistent remnant of a cultural worldview that exists in the timeline of history before traditionalism. We might call it pre-traditional, right? Orlando Patterson calls it the street configuration, right? And it's certainly, they've been very careful to say in inner city neighborhoods, in distressed neighborhoods, the majority of the people who live there are not embedded in this street configuration, this pre-traditional worldview. But the fact that it persists there, as seen in gang culture and prison culture and sort of the gangster mentality that is behind much of the shootings and the turmoil that exists in these places, that does radiate out. It is partially responsible for the persistence of the inequality and the large percentages of Black people who were in prison. This worldview, we might call it pre-traditional. I think there's a dignity there. I mean, I think certainly it's antisocial. We can't just sort of, it's not compatible with a law-abiding civilization. So we have to be able to be biased against this form of culture, but it's not specific just to Black people. This pre-traditional warrior culture, I think if we want to talk about it with a certain amount of dignity, we can say, we call it warrior consciousness and culture. It's developmental psychology recognizes it as egocentric consciousness or pre-conventional consciousness. And you can see it in white people in the skinheads, right? You can see it in Hispanic people in MS-13, right? You can see that even Asian people have, the Hmong street gangs, right? So this form of culture, this warrior culture, is stubborn.